Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a Doom Eternal wishlist video. We know we're getting our first look at the gameplay for Doom Eternal this coming QuakeCon, and I'm very excited for that as someone who enjoyed the original reboot of Doom back in 2016. I was personally expecting a multiplayer fun fest, but it turned out that the best part of the game was actually the single player story mode. Now keep in mind, I wasn't as head over heels for Doom as I think a lot of people were. I thought that the game became formulaic, and by the end of the title, I was ready for it to be done because I felt a little tired of the constant go into a room, slay a bunch of enemies, move on. And I get that's what Doom is. I know it's up people's alley, but for me, I think there is room for a little bit of improvement, and I'll get into that here today. I want to start off by evolving the glory kills. So if you don't remember what glory kills were in the Doom reboot, pretty much when you weaken your enemy enough, they'd start glowing, and if you ran up to them and hit the melee button, you do something crazy like rip their leg off, put it in their mouth, or break their head off, put it into their shoulders, something along those lines that was very brutal, but yet, being the Doom Marine, satisfying. And so, why do I want these to evolve? The tough part about evolving the glory kills in Doom Eternal is that you have to strike this right balance between a quick animation but something that's satisfying to pull off, and also on top of that, satisfying to pull off for an entire game. Doom Reboot was not a short title at all. It clocked in around the 16-hour range. And when I say evolve, I'm more so asking for additional animations, additional ways to kill your enemies, because that's kind of the satisfaction that comes from Doom's gameplay loop, the cool things you can do with the weapons you have, and I think if they just add more animations to the glory kills, that would do them a lot of justice, because as I said earlier, one of my big issues with Doom is that things got a little tiresome, kill animations were the same, my rhythm was the same. Like I said, just a little more variety, a little more spice, I think will go a long way for people like myself who did struggle to enjoy the game in the long term. With that said, we have to keep in mind that I don't think there will be drastic changes to Doom Eternal. I'm not doubting the capabilities of the developer. I think we will see new things, but there is a smaller gap between games, which means that there will likely be shared elements. I mean, we're talking probably when it drops sometime around spring 2019, just scratching that 3-year mark. So while I imagine there will be change and Doom Eternal will look like a new game and something different, I'm not asking for a complete overhaul of what was a great game. And that's the beauty of Doom Eternal, is that they have a wonderful framework to build off of thanks to the first game that was so great. My next wish is to understand what Eternal means. When Pete Hines was asked about Doom Eternal in interviews, how it connects to the story, why is it called Doom Eternal, not Doom 2, I think the answer that he gave off was originally a little bit worrisome for some folks, because he was talking about how you'll see when you check out the game, which likely means there are story reasons for it to become Doom Eternal, but I also imagine a big reason they went with this name is because they don't want to constantly follow in the footsteps of the original Doom games of making a new Doom 1, making a new Doom 2. It's better to make it Doom Eternal so that this series stands apart on its own. But I want to know exactly what Eternal would stand for. Does it signify some gameplay elements within the title itself? So while I am fully expecting the gameplay reveal trailer to be a gigantic killathon, I'm also hoping that the Eternal name is explained, or I have an inkling of what's going on with this title. I don't play for the story, so don't get me wrong here, but I do like to know the reasoning behind certain design decisions like this. And obviously, after this game is revealed, we're going to get our interviews, additional information will continue to pop out, and one thing that I do hope is augmented in this sequel is the trials, because I thought that they were kind of a flow breaker in the original Doom, and I would love for them to entirely scrap them from the campaign and create a separate arcade mode with special challenges with special weapons, taking out certain enemy types with certain weapons, stuff along those lines. The trials kind of provided that, but like I said, they felt very out of place in what could have just been another mode. I understand they did play into upgrades, progressing your character a little bit. I think there are different ways they could have done that, because Doom is, in my opinion, all about that flow. When you're constantly in that rhythm, that's when the game feels its best, when you're going from demon to demon, taking them out in the most brutal fashion imaginable. And there is time for brief exploration in this game, and it usually does feel rewarding as you uncover new pieces of armor, new upgrades for your weapon, collectibles in general, and sometimes you would come across these trials. And like I said, I just think they would serve well as another mode with additional focus for the team, because another strength of Doom was its replayability. A lot of people loved going back to this game. Imagine if you had a separate arcade mode just to increase that replayability instead of packaging it into the story mode. Just some food for thought. These are just a couple of things that I wanted to have tweaked in Doom Eternal. Hopefully we get this information with the gameplay reveal, whether it's in an interview style or when we see the footage itself. I imagine the footage will go something along the lines of just what the original Doom was revealed as. Holy crap, look how cool you can be. Look at all the destructive things you can perform on these demons, and nothing more than that. I don't think I'm going to get my confirmation of what's happening with Trials or why this game is called Doom Eternal. But hey, a man can wish, can he? And I'd love to hear your wishes in the comments down below, so do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.